Hey, this is Maryanne, and welcome to another episode of the Influential Nonprofit. I am going to share with you some awesome strategies for how to really tap into what people want, because what they say they want and what they actually want are two different things. So here's the thing. Have you had this experience where somebody comes to you and says, like, I'll use this example, your board says, we'd love to help with fundraising. That'd be awesome. What would really help us is a brochure. If we had a brochure, we would know what to say. We'd feel really comfortable. We'd have something to leave behind. A brochure would be awesome. Dutiful, Edie, responsive to their needs, listening, giving them what they need to be successful, goes and makes a brochure. Board, here's your brochure. Now go forth and raise. Nothing happens. Nothing changes. And you're like, okay, you said you needed a brochure. I gave you a brochure. What? Right? Or let's say the staff say, if the staff doesn't trust each other, you know what we need? Like our team is not really integrated. We need a plan. Okay, if we had a plan and then we would get along better, we would trust each other, blah, blah, blah. Be more productive, whatever. So you do a plan. That plan may sit on a shelf, or really whatever issue was doesn't change. This happens a lot. A couple of things I want to share. First, typically the presenting problem isn't the actual problem. There's something more going on underneath there, right? And we're going to talk about what that is, and we're going to talk about how to tap into this so that you can understand what it is people really want. The other thing I want to share is that people often want to solve mindsets, emotional feelings, challenges with strategy, right? My board doesn't trust each other. Let's make a plan. Well, the plan will not heal the trust. Like, we want it to, because that way we don't have to get into the ickiness or what we perceive as ickiness or drama or whatever of anything, right? So if we just had a plan, we wouldn't have to go and like deal with all the feelings and the under there, And this happens quite a bit. And if it happens to you, you're totally not alone. It's all the time, right? And this is what frustrates us about our work, because you and being responsive are giving people what they're telling you that they want, what they think they want, but it's truly not. It's truly not what they want. They're saying it's what they want. And they're not lying to you or trying to deceive you. So what in the world is going on? I'm going to share with you a tool that I work with a lot. And I learned this from my business coach, Michelle Villalobos, but this is a pretty well-known sales technique, and it's called the 3 pains or the 3 problems. And it's a way of understanding the underlayer of what's truly happening. Oh, and by the way, let me just tell you, everything I share is completely applicable to every aspect of your life, right? So when your friend comes to you with like that, my husband or my, like my mother-in-law or whatever, that the presenting problem is not the actual problem. And that's okay, right? But that's the problem. And I'm going to explain this right now that we know and admit to. So just know the presenting problem is typically not the actual problem. There's something going on deeper. Now, the 3 pains are the 3 problems. The first problem is what you know and admit to. So in the board example, we need a brochure. We aren't sure what to say. And if we had a brochure, that would make us feel more confident and that we know what to say. Problem they know and admit to, cool. The second problem is the problem they know and don't admit to. So there's something going on that they don't want to have to say. And because they don't want to get into their feelings either. They don't want to get into the insecurities. They may not even sure they have them yet. So the problem that they know and don't admit to could be, I'm afraid to say the wrong thing. I am afraid I'm going to screw this up. The third problem is the problem they don't know, don't admit to, but you can see. That is also called a blind spot. A blind spot is when somebody can see something about you that you can't see about yourself. calling people out on their blind spots is the recipe for automatic and immediate shutdown. If you want to shut somebody down, totally break rapport, you call them out on a blind spot. If you do that, you let me know what happens. Well, obviously you're this. I don't know why you can't see it. Like, oh wait, what? Okay, I didn't, I don't, what? And like, people will shut down. Okay. So our job is to not solve the problem. So, yay, your job is to not walk around and solving everybody's problems. Doesn't that feel good? Your job is to understand what the true issue is, what that third problem is, and not call them out on it, but help them reveal to themselves a greater understanding, a greater awareness of self. When we're willing to open ourselves up to our blind spots, to see what other people can see in us, to go into the shadowy places of ourselves, we become incredibly powerful. And what I mean by the shadowy places are like the feelings of inadequacy, of rejection. All of those are guilt and shame, which are super low vibrations. Like the lowest vibe that we have is shame. Up from that guilt. Shame is the shame meaning who we are, like not feeling bad about who we are. And the guilt is feeling bad over what we've done. And those are the lowest things. And we will organize our lives, like our very existence, around not feeling guilt and shame, or not, because if we make somebody else feel bad, then that makes us feel bad. And then we feel, oh, blah, 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 blah. And like, we'll leave relationships, leave jobs, move across the country in order to not feel, in order to not face guilt or shame. Around, like, if you wronged someone, you may avoid that person for the rest of your life because to see them would trigger so much deep feelings of guilt and shame. And if it does, that's totally fine. You're completely normal. Congratulations, you're a human being. Because this is how our bodies are biochemically wired, right? So we can't work around biochemistry, but we can work with it and we can understand it and understand like what it does to people to be called out on a blind spot. We can't read the label of the jar that we're in. So when other people can see it, it could be off-putting. So it's not like you're going to say to that board member or your board, well, obviously you all are afraid of rejection and have deep-seated feelings of guilt and shame about your inability to lead effectively or manage yourself or whatever it is, like, what are you talking about? So you want to bring them there gently. And so this is how you do that. Instead of when somebody comes to you with a problem, like, well, we need a brochure so we can feel better. I want you to pause and ask, so what do you feel like that would do for you? How do you feel like that brochure would help you? And you can say, hey, I'm happy to give you whatever tool you need to be successful, but to really understand what's going on, I'd love to know what would that brochure do for you? Well, it help me be confident. Okay, so you want to be confident. Yeah. So when you walk in, like, so what would happen if you weren't confident? Well, then if I might not say the wrong thing. Okay. So what would happen if you didn't say the wrong thing? Well, I might screw it up for the organization. I might mess it up and we wouldn't get the gift and I would feel bad and I would feel like I came here to help and I'm doing the exact opposite and I just couldn't handle that. Wow. All right. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. So, and now this is where you're going to gently. So what I'm hearing is to mess this up would make you feel like you had no purpose here or no role here. And really make you feel like you're not worthy of being here. And that person could say, yeah, I feel like, or well, maybe, I'm not sure. Well, then tell me a little bit about what's going on, because I feel like there's some hesitation underneath the brochure, right? So you don't have to say, here's these 3 paints. You're just going to say, because I feel like there's something going on underneath the brochure. And I want this tool to work for you. So I really want to understand what you feel like it's going to do for you. And just keep like gently, lovingly, truth supported by love, dig into seeing what's really going on. Like, well, yeah, I'm like, okay, all right. So I hear you. So you're afraid to mess up. I said, what if you couldn't mess up? What would you do? What if you couldn't do it wrong? And because what I want from that person who's speaking to me is to understand that I don't expect them to be perfect at this. I don't expect that. I expect them to try. And that I know that you got to be good to be bad. You got to be you got to be bad to be good. You got to be good to be great. And thank you, Sonia Sala, for that quote. So I'm going to be permission to be bad. Listen, hey, you're going to go on these calls and like, you may not be that good at it, and that's totally okay. We're going to be fine. Whatever happens, this is part of learning and growing in your service to this organization. Right. So I want to create a space for them to be able to come to me with that pain that they know and can admit to, that can come pretty easily. Because if they're willing to do that, I can get to the third pain. And if you as a leader and communicator can help people see their third pain or problem, I use those interchangeably, so I'm sorry if that confused you. You will be an incredibly powerful leader and communicator, because you will be addressing the actual issues that are going on and be able to solve them. Because if somebody's feeling not confident, I was trying to say unconfident. I don't think that's the word. Somebody's not feeling confident. Like, I can't say, oh, you're fine, you're going to be great. Tell me why you're not feeling confident. Tell me what's going on. Because when I tap into and not try to solve it, oh, well, let me give you this training that'll solve it. We're not about solutions. I can ask them, so what would help you? What do you feel like would help you build your confidence? Well, what if another board member went with me, or you went with me and then gave me some feedback? Absolutely, I could do that. Now they're admitting to what's really going on and coming up with their own solution, of which you can say, yeah, I'm happy to help you with that. But it's coming from a place of revelation, from, wow, I just figured out that I'm hesitating, and for like this reason, like because I don't want to feel rejected, and because I that I would feel horrible if I didn't do it right. Guilt and shame. It's all about avoiding guilt and shame. I mean, it truly, truly is. So that's what we want to make it okay for people to fail. You want to make it okay for people to not do it great the first time. You're going to be fine. The organization is going to be fine. Everybody's going to be fine. When we're not allowed to practice and fine tune our skills, when we're expected to be great out of the gate without any support, without any like really consideration of the blocks and barriers that are going to come up while we try to do something new, we're just not going to do it. We're just not going to do it. Oh, the three problems or the three pains is a way for you to stop just doing what people ask you to do. Solve this problem, solve this problem, solve this problem. It's a way for you to tap into what people are actually thinking, what's really going on, and guide them to their own solutions for what they see coming from that deep place of new revelation, of a greater sense of knowing, instead of I just need this tool. Oh, there's one thing I want to share really quick about this. Is the first problem is typically somebody else. Like, oh my God, if that guy would just stop, if this donor would just give me if you can name it, that's the first problem. We need a brochure. We're not feeling confident. First problem. Second problem is typically systemic. Like, I don't want to disappoint my organization. I don't want to look bad in front of my other board members. What if they're all raising more money than me? I don't want to disappoint my family. I don't want to feel weird about my friends. It's all about like this systemic, like what could happen to the organization, the team. Then the third pain is, of course, your deep-seated fears, anxieties. And that's the third one. So if you can name it, it's the first problem. 100%. Now, this is a pretty like deep technique, and it takes some serious listening. And also it takes you not solving the problem, not coming up with a solution, which is tough. And I'm going to say that it's tough because we are solvers, we're fixers, we want to relieve other people's pain. And I get that. So the important thing here is when this comes up, when you're faced with something like this, is to not try to solve it, but just try to keep talking and keep asking questions so they can come with their own solutions to what the problem would be. And it's a solution, again, not from the pain that they know and admit to, but from that pain they don't know, don't admit to, but you can see, because now they can see it and they're willing to work on it. One caveat: there may be people who don't want to work on this at all. Nope, I just need that brochure. If you don't give me that brochure, blah, blah, blah. And you can say, you can do what you want with that. You can give them that brochure knowing that it may or may not work or not. You can try to work with them. You can work with them to diagnose down farther. If they're not willing to go with you, they're just not willing to go with you. And that's totally okay, knowing there's going to be limitations to what that person can actually do for you. I can't take people farther than they're willing to go themselves. And that's why when you're recruiting board members, when you're recruiting staff members, like putting out that energy of attracting those people that are really willing to do the work, right? To be self-aware, to turn the lens on themselves and want to do better for themselves and for everyone around them. Those are the kind of people that are really usually willing to. That doesn't mean that's everybody, and that's okay. That person, but now we know that that person is going to be able to do what they want them to do. And you can say, listen, a brochure is just not in our budget right now. And maybe you could agree to something else, like a talking point sheet or something that gives them the tool they need without too much work for you, knowing it's probably not going to have the intended outcome that you want, but that's completely up to you, or you can just navigate out of that and say, yeah, that's not something that we use, or that's not how we work. But I'm kind of hesitating as I'm saying that. I feel like if you really wanted to maintain the relationship, you could say, like, we don't have a budget or for a full-blown brochure, but what if I give you my list of talking points? Would that help you? If it's something you already have, you could give it to them. They're going to go away. It's not going to fix anything, but you've made them feel better. But really, the people that you want are the ones that are willing to go deep with you, and want to do better, want to get better, want to broaden their skills. And this is exactly how we do it. So that is the story of the 3 problems. So now when somebody comes to you with a problem, the presenting problem is hardly ever the actual problem. And see if you can't ask enough questions to get them to the second problem of what they know and won't admit to. And from there, maybe help guide them and reveal to them more a new way, a new perspective of looking at themselves. Again, when you can do this, it's going to make you super, super, super powerful. Oh, it's so good. Oh, this is what I coach and train all the people in my Up-Level Your Influence class about. And I have a back end program that people enter after that. And we practice this stuff. Like, we work on this stuff, right? This is how we are interacting with everyone, coming from this place of like truth supported by love, acceptance, higher consciousness, like really not wanting to fix or solve for anybody, just really tapping into who they are, not who we want or expect them to be. And when you do that, you become incredibly powerful. I promise you 100%. So if this sounds good to you and you would love to learn a little bit more about how to grow your influence, you can go to theinfluentialnonprofit.com. I have my Up-Level Your Influence starter kit. It's super cool. There's a book and an ebook called Stop Sitting Back and Start Making Change. A lot of the principles that I talk about leadership and communication are in that book. I have a really cool guide on how to have difficult conversations. Like, it is a template step by step. So if you haven't gotten that, you're going to totally want it. So go to influentialnonprofit.com and get your starter kit and start reading people, truly listening for those pains, or the 3 pains or the 3 problems. I'd love to hear how they're working for you. You can always reach out to me at Maryanne@courageouscommunication.com and let me know how they're working for you. And with that, that is the end of this episode of The Influential Nonprofit. I will talk to you again soon.